I lived, a small little parish. It's called Clarahan. It's in South Tipperary, and we had no club. And we're probably the only one of the few parishes in Munster who had no club in their parish. So we joined Mile Rovers. It was 4 or 5 miles over the road, and my older brother and his friends would have played at those. So that's how we got to join the club, and we had good people that would have collected us to go training. So it was an easy fit, that we were being collected to go to play hurling and football. So it was brilliant. And that all started at 7 or 8 years of age with Mile Rovers. It's something you'll remember all the time, because we all love the Gaelic games and we all love to be part of it, and to get to start like that at such an early age. And in fairness to the club at the time, we weren't too strong, but we built it up to a good club now at the moment as well. So that's always great. Obviously, football was always my first love, but I was fortunate enough to be part of hurling in Tipperary as well. And again, it started at under 14 level with Tony Forrestal tournament. And again, it's not downgrading our club or anything like that, but being from Mile Rovers, like, we were lower tier again hurling, and it was always hard, and it wasn't really popular for any Mile Rovers man to make county squads. So for myself to make the Tony Forrestal panel 2 years in a row, that was huge, and we actually won it in 1991, I think. So that was nice, and it progressed from there. Then it's like anything, once you start making panels, you're in the shop window then for the following couple of years, under 14, under 16, and I was never strong enough to make a starting 15 place at a constant level. I was always on the panels, and I stuck at it, and eventually it came to minor level. We played Galway in an All-Ireland minor final, and it went to replay, and I actually started the replay. So it just showed to me that it was worthwhile hanging in there all the time, because it was such a great day to be part of an All-Ireland minor hurling final replay, and we beat Galway the same day. So, like, you forget everything that went on previous to that. It was just special to be on the team, starting that day as well. And then it progressed into under 21 and intermediate with Tip, and I had a year and a bit with the senior hurlers. So, as I said, football was always my first love, but like hurling growing up in Tip was always number one as well. And there was success there, and you follow the senior team all the way through, and winning All Ireland. So I know it was a barren enough period for Tip hurlers as well at the time, but hurling was, I love playing hurling for Tip, as well. But again, when it came to the crunch, and even now everyone sees it, the dual system and dual players just is not feasible. Whereas back then I thought it was, but it was very hard to do both. But I did love hurling for Tip. For me anyway, I think it goes back to number one, your family. They spent the hours and the days and the weeks driving you to here and there, and 3 and 4 nights a week to train in order to matches with the club. And obviously the club itself is massive in my life. There's a couple of people there, like some are deceased now, that gave me the love of hurling and football, and also gave me the kick in the backside that was needed to drive on and not to give up. And they collect me to go to trials, and when you think everything is not going your way, they still turn up on a Saturday morning and they bring you off. Like, we used to train under 14 hurling in the rag, and like 2 names, Eileen Boland and Mick McCarthy in my club. They just, that was it. That was their I won't say a chore, but they just felt that, yeah, we'll bring these guys, we'll harness the skills, and we were representing them, if you know what I mean, in the county stage. And they just drove us everywhere, and it wasn't just me, it was anyone that was involved that needed to get to A, B or C to represent Tip. Like, these guys were bringing us, and there was never an issue or a bother. Whereas you see nowadays, it's everything is a chore, and it's hard going, and it's hard work. Whereas these guys, they just got on with it, and the club was everything to them as well. So, and I could mention a lot of names, but there's a few, like I said, Eileen Boland, Mick McCarthy in the club. Jim Cahill was my senior football manager with Mile Rovers when we were successful, and again, just gave me a start in the senior football team, and never looked back really. And Seamus McCarthy is another, he'd be synonymous with Tipperary football. Like, he gave me my first start in with Tip in 1996. So like these people, and I'm probably forgetting a lot of people, I hate mentioning names, but there's certain people in your life that, you know, there's a special place for them, that, you know, they kept faith in you, and they pushed you along the way, and helped you along the way, and they were there for advice when everything wasn't going right, and they were there to tell you that you did well when you did well. So you know, like I said, I hate mentioning names, but I think we all have those close people, family number one, and then obviously close people in the club. At senior level, I made my debut in Tipperary football is in 1996. I was actually still doing my leaving cert. I was doing my leaving cert 3 weeks later. You know, I was playing a club game in Clonmel. I'll never forget it. It was probably 3 weeks before Tip played Kerry. You know, I played well against Ardfinnan, and the selectors were there watching the match, and they asked me would I like to go in, and I was kind of very hesitant to go in because obviously 3 weeks before championship, and all the lads had all the work done and all the tortures running done in November and December and January, you know. So I was kind of conscious of that. And also my age, you know, I was doing the leaving cert, and my dad, in fairness, him always, you know, even for a club, he kept me back until I was 16, 17. I played in goal for the club. So he was kind of saying, you know, if you might be a bit too young to go in, but when this chance came around, I said, no, I have to take it. And I went in, and in fairness to everyone in the squad, you know, the door was open, and it was brilliant because as I said, I was kind of cagey of what the reception would be like. But we played Kerry in '96 inside in Clonmel, and like it's a day I'll never forget. It was absolutely teeming down rain. But it's something special, like to make your debut against Kerry, and especially like only after being called in after 3 weeks, you know. So it was great, and like thankfully I've never looked back. It's been absolutely brilliant. I have a vague memory of the 1991 All Ireland hurling final with Tip and Kilkenny. You know, I think that's the first time I was there. But again, it's very hazy. Obviously, I know Tip won, and I always remember Michael Cleary kind of topped a free from 30 yards out, and it went into the top corner for a goal, and it kind of turned the game for Tip. So that was probably my first visit to Croke Park, and obviously it's like any child, you'd fall in love with the place, and you'd hope that someday you were going to represent Tip or your club there at some stage. You know, and then obviously in 1995 was the first time I played there in Croke Park. We were Munster minor champions, and we played Westmeath in the All Ireland semi final in there, and like that was just, you know, it was an unbelievable occasion, and an occasion I would say I can't say it happened to me very often, but it got to me really, you know, to play in Croke Park. And I remember I had a goal chance at the hill end, one-on-one with the goalie, and I just snapshot it, and I hit it straight at him. And if I had my time back, I know exactly what I would have done with it. You know, we were beaten on the day, and it's those little things that you'll always remember, that I had a chance to maybe win the match, you know, rather than being out on the field in Croke Park in itself, you know. And then the following year, '96, we played there again in the All Ireland hurling replay that I mentioned there earlier on, and we won. So that was a great memory. 12 months later, so you know, the wheel came a full turn there. So it was nice to get a win in Croke Park. All Munster Championship games are big in our eyes, you know. So our preparation, if it was like, I suppose Tralee or Killarney was probably the furthest we were going to go, and we'd always stay the night before down, especially in Tralee or Killarney. So they were always great occasions. Like preparation back then is like it's probably a million miles off where the preparation is now. You know, it's just so probably intense now, whereas back then it was more easygoing, and you know, it was nearly a day out before a big match, more so than anything. You were going off with your pals and your friends and your teammates on a bus, and there's a bit of crack and a bit of fun. But the serious stuff obviously started on the game on the Sunday. But you know, preparation was, you know, it was you know, you watch what you eat, you keep hydrated, and everyone was the same. And I don't think that'll ever change. But like I said, it wasn't as intense as it seems to be now, you know. But we always prepared very well for no matter who we were playing. We always felt we were good enough to win the match, even though we could have got hammered the same day. But you have to believe that, and there's no point in playing or training if you didn't believe that. You might as well just give up. So, but our preparation was always spot on. In fairness, like your managers and your coaches would have you singing off the same hymn sheet, and that was always the main thing. And once you knew your job and your role, the day of a match, after that, the result would take care of itself, win, lose or draw. For myself personally, like I was never one to get nervous. I never, thank God, and it to this day I wouldn't get nervous before matches. I always enjoyed them. I wasn't into music, so I didn't have the headphones or the earphones in. It's just for me, it was just you were playing for Tip, you were representing Tip in a Munster Championship game, no matter who was played, and it was always a feeling of excitement. That you were able to go out and pitch yourself against the best, no matter against Limerick, Waterford, Clare, Cork or Kerry. It didn't really matter to me, but like thankfully I just took it as in my stride, and I always felt myself that no one goes out to play poorly or badly, and there was days when I had stinkers and there was nothing I could do about it. But so that was I always said, like, never have built up tension or pressure on yourself. Just go out and kind of live the moment and enjoy the game. And I always felt once I was enjoying it, I was playing my best football. And it's when the pressure, or you felt a small bit of pressure, that's when it gets inside your head and you lose a bit of focus. So, but my preparation was just always having the fun, having a bit of crack. And like I said, the overnight stays were better as well, because you were away from your normal surroundings. You were kind of in the zone early, and the rest took care of itself after that. The few minutes before you leave a dressing for a match, a big match, like it's there's special moments, because you're in a group where no, like, and I don't mean be downgrading or dismissing Tip, and I've been on many teams, but probably a lot of games no one gave us a chance to really beat the Corks and the Kerrys. So those were special, like the 5 or 10 minutes before you leave, where everyone is pumped up and everyone is going to kill whoever is coming against them on the pitch, and you're knocking doors down and busting tables. But it's a special feeling, because you're basically you're going out to war. You're trying to win a match with the group of guys you trained with for the last 8 or 10 months, or the last 10 or 15 years. So it was a battle, and probably things you've said, and you trust what you're saying to other lads in that 5 minutes, and just to get you G'd up, or to get a bit of focus back in it again. And there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of everything there. But once you leave the dressing room, it's a special feeling. If there's any bit of a crowd there, then as well, it just gets you. The hairs stand up in the back of your neck, and like this is what you train for. This is what we want to be involved in. And all the whinging and moaning and the tough nights and the slogs, they're just worth it for that feeling. And obviously it's the likes of Dublin and Kerry and Tyrone and all these big teams can witness that and can have that feeling most games they go out in. So when we get to that Munster final, or when we achieve back then, it was special, and we really took it in. It was feelings that we knew weren't going to come around every year. So those big games were special to us, and thankfully now Tip have they've the last few years they've really grown. They've really put themselves out there. They're really competing against the top teams, and they're experiencing days like we did on a more regular basis than we did, and that's great to see as well. But big days, big Munster final days. Like, I played in two Munster finals and one replay. So over 12 years, it's not a hell of a lot, but they're days I will never ever forget, because there was packed crowds there, and I think that's what you love, to have all your family there, all your club mates there. So it's their special occasions, and obviously we didn't get to win many medals, but you cherish every moment like that. I was very lucky. I came onto a Tip team who had played in two Munster finals in '93 and '94. So there was a good cohort of players there. And in '95, Kerry beat them well enough. But I started in '96, and unfortunately, it was the time there was no backdoor system. So we played Kerry in '96, '97, '98, '99. So you were gone after that. And in 1997, I think was probably our best chance of beating Kerry. We really had them on the ropes in Tralee. and I think we were beaten by 5 points in the end or something like that. With I always remember Morris Fitzgerald, I think, took a was it Morris Fitzgerald? Darragh Canada took a shot and it was blocked, and it fell straight into Dennis O'Dwyer's. I think Dennis O'Dwyer's hand, and he just tapped it in, and it really broke our hearts. And we had him going really on the rack at that stage, and they just pulled away in the end. So we were very close. 98 Munster final, although they were better than us on the day. They beat us by 4 points. So, and in '99 it was the famous goal that wasn't below in Tralee, where again we had him on the ropes. Like, we had some fabulous players in our team, and we had him on the ropes. And I don't know, people might recall that Jerry Murphy took a shot and it hit the back stanchion of the outside the back stanchion of the net wide, and it came back into play, back into his hands, and he tapped the ball in. And I always remember I was marking Michael McCarthy, and the two of us, we could see from the far end of the field that was wide, and next thing we see the umpire raising the green flag, and Jerry Murphy even came out and he was puzzled, you know. So it's still, I know it's 20 over 20 years ago, but it's something that it would always stick with you, that, you know, you just didn't get the rub of the green. And like I said, there was no backdoor system, so it was hard, because you in those times it was training before Christmas, like your 3 league games before Christmas. So it was a long process to get there, and then to be knocked out with a sucker punch and have to face, you know, back into it again the following year after a punch like that. But that's sport. And I think most Kerry people will say the same, that over that 3 to 4 year period, we were a match for a lot of teams, but we didn't get the backdoor system. We didn't get the run in the qualifiers that might have propelled us up the ladder a small bit. So they were tough breaks to take, but then, as I said earlier on, we love pitting ourselves against the best, and Kerry were the best at the time, and it was of some comfort that we ran him close and we worried him for a couple of years. The qualifier system came in 2001, and obviously it was designed for weaker teams, and I hate using that word, but we were at that time a weaker team, and to see could we get a few extra games through the back door. I recall it in 2002 we got to the Munster final. We were beaten by Cork in the replay in Cork. Should have won the first day. That was a real scalder. You know, we know we should have won the first day, and then you only get one chance at the big guns, and they really annihilated in the replay, which was disappointing. But we went then through the back door, and we played Mayo the following 6 days after, getting hammered, and we were wondering how we'll pick ourselves up. And that was probably one of our greatest, even though we didn't win, we were beaten by 4 points, but the way we played, we were right in it up to the very end, and it was in Ennis. It was a brilliant occasion, and I remember Kieran MacDonald came off the bench for Mayo. You know, what a sub to bring on, and he kicked 4 points to really be the difference with the team. So it kind of grew from there. Then, and in 2003 we got beat by Kerry, and we got a few runs in the qualifiers, and we played Donegal in Croke Park. Again, that was huge for us to get that opportunity to play in Croke Park. And when that was announced, I think it was a double bill in Croke Park, but it was really special, because it was my first senior time playing in Croke Park, and it was a great occasion. Again, it was a loss. You know, I'm here on this, and I'm kind of, you know, celebrating losses, but brilliant occasion to get that opportunity to play there. So, like, the qualifiers has been good and bad to myself personally in Tip, you know, but it's you make your own luck, as they say, but to get those extra games and not have it knockout was great. And in fairness to the GAA, they made a great decision in implementing the backdoor system. Personal accolades they're nice, but I would always prefer a Munster medal or an All Ireland medal, and that's, like I said, that's a dream. That was always a dream. It was always the ambition. And I suppose in 1998, where, you know, the All Stars, like, we were beaten in a Munster final, and again, the plus, or the plus side of not being knocked out or having no qualifiers was we got to the Munster final, so we were in the last 8 teams in Ireland, so there was no qualifier. So we were in the shop window there and then, and I was lucky enough I was top scorer in the football championship that year as well. So I knew I was probably going to be in with a shout or get a nomination for an All-Star. And I was in college. I'll never forget it. I was in college, and back then there was no. I just heard on the radio that I'd been selected for an All-Star, and that was, I better not say it, but I wasn't in college that morning. I was still in bed, so I can't make any lies for that. But to hear a name being called out and it was the last name as well, so you're waiting and waiting, 14 names gone, and like I said, I would never be, I was never a cocky type or an overconfident type. I just, as I said, take it as it comes. But it was kind of you'd be secretly hoping that your name was going to be called out, and like I said, 14 names. I said no, I'm not. I'm goosed here. So, so it was brilliant. It was absolutely memorable. And again, it's an old cliche, but like if Tip didn't do that well that year, I wouldn't have got it. So you'd love to to get more nominations even with Tip, or to get more accolades with Tip would have been even better. But and then in 2003, I was fortunate enough to get another one. So, and that was special as well, because it was 5 years of a gap, and like you'd always think it's never going to come around again. So, and in 2002, I had a great year as well, and I was playing very well, and I got nominated for an All-Star. So things were going well for me around that time. But like I said, with the gap of 5 years, you'd say no, it's not going to happen again. And thankfully it did. They're special, and we look back at them now, and my own kids looking back, and it's nice. But as I said, I genuinely would love the Celtic Cross or Munster medal in my back pocket as well. I'd swap everything for those, but it wasn't to be. So these are very special as well, and like an All-Stars, and the All-Star trips are, they were very special as well. Great memories, and for me to go off with all the best players in Ireland, it's something that again you'd never think would happen. And it was great just to mix and mingle and see how those guys prepare, and you'd be picking up bits and pieces and hints from them as well. But they were special trips, and the Australian rules, and they make up in a way for the lack of medals, but they're great memories. And I've always said that if you have memories to look back on and cherish like that, it's been a good enough career. We ended up in the Tommy Murphy Cup final. Went up to Dublin the night before and stayed up, and we were playing Wexford, who had a good run for the previous couple of years. And how serious Wexford took it, I don't know. We don't know. We never know. But like, to play in a national final in Croke Park, it was before Tyrone and Armagh game, so the place was packed by the time the second half of our game started. And being captain as well was huge. And like, Lockmore Castellini were the county champions, and in Tip you picked the captain from the county champions, but they had no representative, so they nominated me at the start of the year to be captain. So it fell into place, and I've been on record saying that to walk the steps, I didn't care, as I said, if it was an egg cup I was lifting. It was just to actually get up those steps, and it was incredible, I have to say. And looking back on it, it was a huge highlight, to lift that cup up there. And people might diss it or they might laugh at it, but to us it was it was special, a special occasion at that time. And then we got a trip to New York out of it as well, to play in New York in a final. So it was, there were a lot of things very, very good out about it. And Sean Kelly, in fairness, the former president, brought that in. And I'll forever be grateful to him, because it gave us that chance to, and again, it's not your All Ireland, it's not your Munster, but it was a great occasion. And for me to personally to walk the steps was, it was incredible. It's something I genuinely will never ever forget. 2020 was obviously special for any Tip person, with the way things worked out. And it's mad to think that, like, a pandemic in all the craziness and the torture and everything it has brought upon people. Like, Tipperary wouldn't have won a Munster title without COVID, because we had four lads probably away travelling. Michael Quinlivan, Liam Casey, Colin O'Riordan was able to come back, he was finished his year with Sydney Swans, and he was able to come back to play. So, there's no point in beating around the bush. Like, the pandemic played a huge part in Tip winning the Munster title, and then for it all to be pushed back to the winter time, to be pushed back onto Bloody Sunday weekend, to win a Munster title on Bloody Sunday weekend is just, it's something you'd never ever think would happen. But it's probably written in the stars. And I think the players, they all bought into it. Management, the new jersey was smashing. Like, because I'm here in South Tipperary, probably 10 miles away from where Michael Hogan, Grange Mokler. So there's a huge history there. Probably we learned an awful lot more about the history that we didn't know. We just probably took it for granted. Oh yeah, it's Bloody Sunday, it's Michael Hogan. But there was a lot more to it than and all the GA programs and everything that was written about it. So we got an overall rundown of the Bloody Sunday events and how it happened, and it kind of educated us all again. And like for Tip to actually do the business on Bloody Sunday weekend was special. And I got a phone call then from Croke Park leading up to it for the Bloody Sunday commemorations to see would I carry the Tip flag into Croke Park, and I have to say it's up there with anything I've done. And I've said before, I never got nervous before matches, but myself and Alan Brogan was carrying the flag for Dublin, and I just had butterflies in my stomach waiting to carry the flag out. There was so much media attention and national broadcast on it. It was a brilliant event. Absolutely, very, very, very well done, and it was an absolute honour to be part of it and to be selected to represent Tipperary people in Croke Park on that famous occasion, and to stand probably 5 yards away from where Michael Hogan was shot. It's poignant memories. And you're just, to me, I will look back on that as something that I will always cherish, because, as I said, you're representing more than myself. You're representing the whole of Tipperary, and to be asked to do that was an amazing honour. It really is a joy to be involved in the setup. It's a great setup. I certainly wouldn't have been used to it in my time. It has moved on so much. Players want for nothing, and they deserve everything they get in all counties with the time and effort they're putting into it, because like it's professional. There's no point saying different. Obviously, it's not a name, but but it is professional. The way they go about their business, the way they train, they mind their bodies, their diet, everything is just it's rolled into one to make them the top sports people they are. So I'm thrilled to be asked to be involved. I had a stint with the under-21s 3 or 4 years ago as manager as well, so I knew a lot of them going in. So it made that transition a small bit easier. But really, like, you'd like to give something back as well, and like, I got so much from Tipperary football, and so it's nice to give some bit of your time back as well. And how good or how much of an input it is, time will tell. But it's just nice to be there, and if someone has questions, or helping with frees or general point taking, whatever it is, it's nice to be involved. And like I said, it's a great setup. It's great to be involved. And over the last 10, 12 years, like, those guys and all the Tipperary footballers, like, have given us so much joy. It's been really, like, with minor All-Irelands and getting to under-21 All-Ireland finals and getting to Croke Park and 2 All-Ireland semi-finals and winning Munster. It's just like it's been a roller coaster 10 years, and we know we're not foolish enough to think it's going to last forever, and like, you just have to seize the moment. And these guys have been brilliant ambassadors over the last 10 years as well. So I'm just delighted to play some part in it, and hopefully we can play another part for another couple of years and see where it takes us. I've played a lot of important big matches, and obviously have come out on the wrong side of results more often than not. But like, playing Donegal in Croke Park in '03 was, was a huge occasion. It was a really, how will I put it, a really memorable day, even though we lost, because we played well. We put it up to Donegal for long periods of the game. So that game was a huge highlight for myself personally. Tommy Murphy Cup again. They're only small in stature, but like, for me to walk the the Hogan Stand steps at the end of it, like, was just a memorable day as well, and it's another highlight of mine. But I would go back and say, people might think this strange, but my most memorable day will come back to 2007, 2008. We qualified. We played in the All Ireland Junior Hurling Club final with my club, Mile Rovers, in Croke Park. I think it was the first game in Croke Park under lights. First hurling match under lights, I think, back in 08. Again, we lost. I have a real habit of saying we've lost, but we lost the game to Connie Shamrocks. But to walk out, to prepare and to walk out of Croke Park dressing room with your friends, your club mates, your family members, and with club stalwarts that I'll never forget, were walked out onto the sod in Croke Park, and they were looking up and they were just taking it all in. So for me, like, that is epitomizes what the GAA is all about. If you're fortunate enough to, and I've won county titles with my Rovers senior football, and they've been brilliant, and I'll cherish every one of them. But just to do that, to get to an All Ireland final with your club and with your friends and your family members, it's special, absolutely special. And would I've liked, we obviously would have loved to win it, but it wasn't to be. But it's, that is up there. That is up there for probably the highlight of my career. And people might laugh at it as hurling, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you're with your club, you're with your friends, and it was an absolutely unbelievable occasion. If I was to give any bit of advice to young players, girls or boys, like, it's for me, the enjoyment out of it is, is special. And I know you probably don't, they won't realize that until they get to my age or whatever, and they're finished and they look back on it. But for anyone that is fortunate enough to play number one for your club, and then number two for your county, even then move on to your province or your country, whatever it is, like, you have to do the basics. You have to do the basics right, the simple little things, and kicking off left, kicking off right, pucking off left, pucking off right. It's to listen, and it's an old cliche again, but you listen to your coaches. And I always felt like that the more you can take in and learn, like, it obviously makes you better, and some people are sponges and they'll just grasp whatever you tell them, and they'll take it on board. And you have to, it's that extra bit outside of the club or the county that will get you to the top. It's the bit you do on your own in the ball alleys, or go up to the field practicing freeze on your own or whatever. And it's horrible, it's hard, it's tough at times, but they're the little things. Like, there's not too many people. The club player to me is special, because they're there through everything. They're there when the county players come back and they move into things, and you rely on those to win you the matches as well. So, but for anyone like that wants to get to the county level, it's how you prepare yourself, and it's how much you're willing to give into it. And I personally, and I might be shot down for saying this, but I just feel it's probably gone a bit OTT at the moment. It's the fun element and the enjoyment level seems to be slipping away, and it is all about your diet, what you're eating, what you're sleeping, whatever they, and even at an underage 14, 16s, these are all being monitored as well, where there's no real off the cuff stuff anymore. It's all structured, it's all set out for, and don't get me wrong, that has to be part of it as well. But when I was growing up, it was, you knew you'd train on a Tuesday and a Friday and a Sunday. You turned up and you went down, you did your best, and you went at it again the following day. Whereas the scrutiny and the monitoring of stuff now is it's there to be seen, and I know it's there to help young guys and young girls along. But I would just love to see the fun element and the cut back on the seriousness a small bit. I know people say, I'm mad, how are you expected to win if you're not going to drive at it? But for me, as I said, the memories I have from growing up will live in me forever. So I just hope that every underage player at this present time will get the same memories and get the same feeling out of it that I did. And I would say 90% of my colleagues and my teammates and the fellas you play against would have, so. But definitely to make it to the top, it's all about the individual stuff you do outside of it. When I look back on my career, both club and county, I've always said it, like, I had a fair share of injuries, and thankfully now, the body is good and all that. And looking back on it, It's been an unbelievable journey. Like medals and trophies and cups, they're great, but I've been on record saying that it's the memories, and the friendships you make. For me, like GAA is, I suppose, it's ingrained in my life. It has been for whatever 35 years, and like the special people I've met, the special people I've played against. There's teammates, club mates, family member, everything has been probably directed through the GAA, as a meeting point or a focal point, and it always is, and it's not just me. It'll be every GAA player, but like definitely for me, it's the friendships, the memories, and to highlight anything for me now, like over 30 years, it'd be very hard to pick out one special occasion or anything like that. But like I'm injury free. I walked away from GAA, with my body intact, and so it's nice. You'll always have good memories. Whereas I see a lot of people now, even club mates and all that, they're actually crippled with injuries, and they're walking around with limbs and all that. And I suppose they might have different memories than I would, or different. But it's a special organisation. It drives us mad at times. It drives us all batty at times. But it's special. It's like I said. It's the opening of a conversation wherever you go. Where you're from. Oh, I'm from Wild Rovers. Or do you know such and such? Or it starts off conversation, and then you're away with it. It breaks the ice. But it's given me so much. It's given me so much pleasure, so much heartache as well. And I'm just delighted, like, to see, like, I've two daughters as well, and they're playing ladies football in Camogie, and it's just great to see this the cycle move on again, and input time into them, and just like those people did for me 35 years ago, that if I can help anyone along the way or be of assistance, and that's what the GAA I suppose at ground level, at grassroots, is that you're there for each other. If anything's going wrong, or if times are hard or tough, and I genuinely believe that the last year has taught us that as well, that the GAA is special. And then when we got the go ahead to go back training in July or August or whatever it was, it was brilliant. It was just to get back, and the GAA has been, they were a huge part in getting life back on track during the pandemic. And I know it's hard, we can't go to matches, and we couldn't go to matches, and we couldn't do this, but the fact to get kids back on the field and getting back out exercising, back meeting their friends was special. So like I owe an awful lot of gratitude to the GAA for what it's given me. I never drank or smoked or anything like that, so it was my life for 30 years, and I was delighted to be part of it. I have to say, again, would have loved to have that Munster medal. I keep going back, that Munster medal, and I was very jealous of the guys last year who won a Munster medal. Jealous in a good way. But I would love, I'd love the GAA to keep going the way it's going, keep giving people the memories and the enjoyment and the fun that it gave me.